Hey everybody, Uncle Guy here. Just wanted to do a quick little walk around on the bike. I just finished up a ride you're about to see. We talk a little bit about some of the mods that we've done on the bike. Just some riding impressions. I've got about 3,000 miles on it now. So I wanted to just talk about a few of the things that we've done, and I'm sure I'm going to repeat myself a few times, so please forgive me for that. Again, we're looking at the 2014 Yamaha FZ09. I bought it last March. Put about 3,000 miles on it, mostly commuting back and forth to San Diego, and a couple trips up to San Clemente, a couple little windy road trips up to Paula, that type of thing. I've left the bike fairly stock. I've done a couple modifications to it. I've added the fly screen, which I really like. I think it really cleans up the look of the bike, and it does give me some wind protection. I added a helmet holder to the handlebar, and that works good. There's really no place to hang your helmet, and I have a lanyard that goes through like this. If Linda's with me, her helmet sits right there, so that works pretty good. The biggest modification is the Two Brothers S1R pipe, full titanium system. Love the sound, love the way it tucks out of the way, love the way it looks, contours the engine real nice. And then I've done the tidy tail. This one's from L&M. I got it out of England. I liked this one because it's got kind of a factory look. It retains the license plate light, stock signals, so the cops don't give me any trouble, but I really think it cleaned up the tail. So other than that, the bike's pretty stock. Again, I've said it every time I get on this thing, one of the funnest motorcycles I've ever owned. Fun factor 10. It's really light, it's comfortable, it's nimble. A lot of people like to get on the throttle on this thing and nitpick it, and the suspension, we'll talk about that during the ride, and you'll probably hear too much of what I think about all that. But overall, for me, this has been just a fantastic motorcycle. Again, the only mods I think I'm going to do yet, I'm going to do some steel braided brake lines at some point. I'm probably going to need some tires fairly soon, and I'm probably going to go to Race Tech for a little stiffer fork spring. Have my suspension guy do probably put a little heavier fork oil. It's just a little divey. 90% of the time it rides great, it's fine. And then the shock, I may or may not do a little bit heavier spring. Other than that, this thing has just been fantastic. Anybody that's thinking about buying one, you've got my endorsement. I think you're really going to like it. So enjoy the upcoming ride, and hopefully we'll start doing a few more videos for you guys. I've had some really great feedback from a lot of you. You know, just get out there and ride. That's the secret, and that's what makes life fun, is just get out there and ride. So hopefully you like the upcoming ride, and I'll look forward to your comments. Bye. All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is January 13th, early afternoon. Uncle Guy here on the 2014 FZ09, trying out the new microphone. Haven't posted anything on this one in a while, so I thought it'd be time to get out and have some fun. Just got the mic. I've got about 3,000 miles on the clock now, so it's good and broke in. I've been living with it for about 7-8 months, I guess. Great motorcycle. I've read all the reviews. Everybody seems to really like the motor. Mixed reviews on the throttle, mixed reviews on the suspension. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. You're going to have to hear my rider aids and suspension rants, unfortunately. We're going to go into that a little bit. I think a lot of people kind of nitpick this bike and are upset that it doesn't do what it really wasn't designed to do. If you've seen my other videos, you probably know I've been riding for about, well, this is my 41st year. I bought my first new motorcycle in 1974. It was a Yamaha 80. And I've had, I don't know exactly how many, somewhere between 50 and 60 when I really count them up. But I've owned a few motorcycles. I've had everything from cruisers to sport bikes to dirt bikes to, you know, I came up through the 80s when all the sport bikes were being developed and going from there. And of all the motorcycles I've had 5 or 6 that are just my very favorites, and this is absolutely one of them. Very responsive, very lightweight, super fun to ride, tons of power. And like I said, there's a few nits out there that we're going to go into. But overall, this thing makes great power. It shifts like butter. The tranny's fantastic. The riding position is fantastic. So away we go. We're going to take a little run up the freeway here and just talk about how it commutes and go up through the gears. And then we're going to come up the coast a little bit and talk about a few things like the suspension, transmission, throttle, that type of thing. Now I'm in A mode, and as you can see, this real twitchy throttle that everybody seems to have a big problem with doesn't seem to give me a lot of trouble. I wish I didn't have a car in front of me because I want to show you the acceleration on this. I'm in second gear right here, and you can hear the tranny shifts really smooth. There's no need for any kind of a quick shifter or anything like that. If I need to shift faster than that, I don't know. To me, there's something about shifting yourself. Even my car, I don't want a paddle shifter. I like a 6-speed. I want to push in the clutch. I want to match the revs on the downshift. When you do it right, there's nothing feels better. So let's talk about the throttle on this a little bit. The throttle on this is what we were kind of going for in the 80s. Everybody was putting quarter turn throttles. You wanted that nice responsive throttle. This motorcycle in A mode is pretty abrupt off idle if you are not smooth. If you are, you can look like a hero. If you're not, it will punish you. You have to ride this bike smooth. And if you can, it's very rewarding. The throttle's right there, the motor's right there. Stock gearing is spot on for the street. I'm going about 5,300 RPMs at 81 miles an hour, and as you can see, that seems to be the cruising speed on the freeways in California. Wind protection is fine. I put the little fly screen on here. It's good up to about 90 or 95 miles an hour airspeed. So if you're going 80 into a 15 mile an hour headwind, you're going to start to feel some buffeting and that type of thing. But again, there's a little bit of a take up at the very beginning of the throttle, and then it's just a matter of learning to ride it smooth. If you're ham-handed, it's going to make you look like a fool. But if you can ride smooth, I like the throttle just fine on this. In fact, now that I'm used to it, it's easier for me to ride this thing in A mode smoothly than it is in C mode. Simply because I'm behind the throttle in C mode. But downshifts are a breeze. The motorcycle just shifts really smoothly. It handles really great. Again, if you're having trouble riding it smooth, there's a good chance it's you. It does take a little getting used to it. I'm not going to say that it's not a little abrupt, because it is. But I personally like it. You'll see when we come away from this stop sign, it pulls away nice and clean, very easy. Shifts between second, third, fourth, fifth, all very smooth and easy. The transmission took about 600 or 700 miles to break in, but once it got there, it's as nice as shifting as any bike I've ever had. And I started to say this earlier, this is one of a few motorcycles that I've owned that every time I ride it, I think, man, this is a nice motorcycle. It's great with a passenger on the back. It's really fun by yourself. It's really light. It's really easy to handle. Just a fun motorcycle. Pulls away really clean. Like I said, this is the first bike I've ever bought that out of the box I didn't want to change the gearing. So you see I'm pulling away real clean from idle. I don't know how much smoother than that you feel like you need to go, but to me it rides really smooth. Very easy to ride. I think we're going to go ahead and run up the coast here south a little bit, see if we can do some roll-ons. Beautiful day today. We'll take a little ride up the coast highway here or down the coast highway. I guess we're going to head south and see what we find. Nice smooth pickup. It's going right now. Beautiful day today. It's showing about 70 degrees out. Nice sunshiny day. We've had some rain the last few days, so it hasn't been quite as nice as it might have been. Next thing we probably want to talk about on this bike is suspension. I have a lot of people going wah 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 about the suspension, and I'll tell you, for most riders the suspension is going to be fine. I personally would like a little bit heavier fork springs. It's a little divier. I'm probably going to put some Racetech fork springs in it, and I'm probably going to do a little bit heavier fork oil. I find on initial braking, the front will want to dive just a little bit. If you drag a little rear brake as you're applying the front brakes, it brakes nice and flat, but it's just a little softer than I would like. This bike was set up for people for all-around riding and commuting. It wasn't designed to be a track bike, so they tend to make the suspensions a little softer. The rear I don't really have a problem with. I may put a Racetech spring on it or may not. Again, for street riding, it's very comfortable. And again, when we're talking about suspension, that was for the people that actually set up their suspension. If you ride a Harley, if you ride any modern cruising bike, this bike has better suspension than what you're riding with right now. It's a modern suspension. It's limited in its adjustability, but if you're riding anything 10 years old or older, if you're riding any modern sport bike, you haven't had suspension under you as good as this. You don't have it under you now. If you're riding the same suspension settings that you got when you got the bike from the factory or when you bought it used, then again, I'm sitting on better suspension than probably what you are riding. Most important thing when you buy a bike, get the suspension set up for your weight, for your riding style. That's really the secret. And until you've done that, you know, then decide if it's something. Again, if you're going to take this bike on the track, yeah, you're going to want to dial the suspension up. But again, remember, you're on an $8,000 motorcycle. Most of the people that are going to ride this bike aren't going to outride the suspension on it. The ones of you that will, God bless. There's a million things you can do. I'm waiting for Olin's to come out with a kit just because I really dig Olin's suspension. But I've heard good things about the Racetech stuff, so I may go ahead and do a little heavier fork spring. I'll probably do a rear shock spring while I'm at it. But I really don't have a lot of complaints about the rear. It seems to ride pretty good. And again, just out catting around. It's just a fun motorcycle, really lightweight. My wife and I just got back from a cruise. We were on St. Kitts and we rented a scooter, and I'll tell you, this rides easier than the scooter, and it sits better and it's more comfortable. So again, a lot of people go, is this a good first bike for me? I think it's a bike that will make you a better rider. It'll make you a smoother rider, and I guess that's where I was going earlier with the rider aids. I get it. I think that ABS is a good safety feature. I think that you know, the traction control and all that kind of stuff, I personally don't like it. I get that it lets you ride maybe more motorcycle than you're ready for with a margin of safety, and that's a good thing, but I don't know that it makes better riders. I think it does not force you to become a smooth rider, and that's never something I think that is good. You know, I got my start in the dirt, and the dirt's a great place to cut your teeth riding, because you can find the limits of traction, you can find the limits of, you know, you can learn what motorcycles do when you're kind of throwing them into something without a big danger level. The speeds are much lower, so it's a great place to get going. you know, a lot of the new bikes are just, they're loaded with rider aids, almost like what you had in Formula One racing not that many years ago. But personally, I don't want that filter. I want my traction control to be in my wrist. I want my quick shifter to be on my left foot. You know, this new BMW 1000 that's out now, fantastic motorcycle. They can't rave enough about it. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful motorcycle, but me personally, I would turn the rider aids off because I wanna push myself in the motorcycle to the limit. I don't want a filter. To me, there's nothing more satisfying than coming into a corner kind of hot and getting on the brakes and making 3 great downshifts and then rolling through the corner and getting that throttle back down. There's nothing that feels better. This new BMW, you make downshifts, you don't even blip the throttle. In fact, they don't want you to blip the throttle because you get in the way of the electronics. Well, to me, that's not, I don't want to be that insulated from the machine and from the road. I want it raw, and so consequently, for me, I don't want the weight of those items, and I don't want the expense because I'd turn every one of them off that I could anyway. So again, I get it, and everybody that wants to, you know, yell at me and go, oh, you can shift faster, you can do this, you can do that with the rider aids. There's an argument there, and I get it, but I just don't, personally, I just don't want the filters, and I don't want to pay for them because I don't really want them. So, you know, I'm into this thing under $10,000 still, and it does everything I want. I've got it just about where I like it. I'm not going to really bolt anything on. To me, lightweight is king. I'm not going to really bolt anything else onto it. I probably am going to go with steel braided brake lines at some point just because I like them. I'm probably going to play with the suspension a little bit, but other than that, I'm just enjoying riding it, and that's what I'm planning to do. Getting back to, Guy, is this a good beginner bike? I think it's fine for a beginner. What I like about it is you can kind of cut your teeth and be in standard mode, and as you become a better rider and a smoother rider, you can go ahead and enjoy A mode. I think this is a motorcycle that could make you a very good rider. It's easy enough to ride for somebody that's a beginner, but it performs well enough that as you get better, you're not going to outgrow it. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. A bike that a lot of people are talking about, I haven't ridden one yet, is the FZ07. And that I would highly recommend for somebody that's getting back into motorcycling, or maybe coming off a cruising bike and wants something, feels something with a little more performance, somebody that does some commuting and around town riding. It's supposed to be a great bike. I don't think it would have enough motor for me. I like a lot of motor. This thing, it's funny, it's an 850 triple, and it does horsepower and quarter-mile times that not that many years ago would have been the fastest thing on the street. And it does it, you know, yawning, you know, it does it very, very easily. The road I'm on here is pretty rough, and you can see the suspension is compliant enough. And for the street, for everyday riding, again, for most people, it's going to be fine. I'm sure I'm repeating myself a bunch on this, so forgive me, guys. I'm just kind of talking as we ride and kind of saying the stuff that pops into my head. Steering effort on this, it's very neutral. You know, you can run it right to the pegs with one hand. Very, very neutral steering. It doesn't want to fall in. It doesn't want to stand up. You can brake mid-corner without any issues. And just a nice motorcycle. You know, I had a Kawasaki ZRX 1200, and that was the last bike that I've owned that just really, every time I got on it, it put a smile on my face. Glass smooth. That made about 125 horsepower, and it probably weighed about 5 1/4, but it was really comfortable, really stable, nice upright riding position like we have here. This thing sits like a supermoto or almost like a dirt bike. It's really narrow through the waist with that triple. Nice wide bar, very comfortable. Just a really an easy bike to put around town on, or like I said, if you want to take it out on the freeway. I've only had a few runs through the twisties with it, and it really was a lot of fun. Again, need a little more time to do that before I get talking too much about it. But that's probably the next thing we're going to do, is try to get out on Ortega or something and maybe just try to ride and put some music behind it or something. Here we are coming into Carlsbad. Beautiful little city, nice village. Been living up here about 4 years. I really like it. Again, the only mods I've done on the bike, I put the Two Brothers S1R system on it, which I love. The more I've ridden it, the more I like it, the more I've gotten used to the sound and how to keep it a little quiet in town. I've done the fly screen, which I think makes the bike look a lot better, and it does give me some wind protection. I did a tidy tail. I chose one that has a license plate light on it and kept the stock turn signals. I think it looks a lot better than stock. And really, that's all I've done to the bike. I had the suspension dialed in by John over at Sport Bike Suspension Tuning. He's here in San Diego area. If you email me, I'll send you his number. He came out to my house, dialed my suspension, and it was less than $50, and it made a tremendous amount of difference as to how this bike rides. And like I said, I've got it fairly full stiff, and I could probably stiffen it up a little bit, but it's pretty comfortable around town, and I'm probably not going to do anything with it until I decide to do some fork springs. Coming into the village here, again, it's you know, cruising along 3,500 RPMs, third gear, 30 miles an hour. Very easy, no drama. Going a little roll on in third gear. You know, it's real easy to squirt past traffic or something. Such a torquey motor. You really don't have to be that spot on what gear you're in. It doesn't protest too much, no matter how you put it. So that's kind of cool. I'm gonna go up here a little bit and pull off and try to do just a couple-minute quick walk around on the bike. A lot of you have seen my 500-mile kind of first impressions video, and so we'll try to do a little walk around. Again, I'm going to try not to repeat myself too much. I'm sure I probably will, so forgive that. But I hope you're enjoying the input. And again, I've owned a lot of motorcycles. I hope you don't think I'm just, oh, guy, you just like everything about it because you bought it. If I didn't really like it, I probably wouldn't still have it. Or I would do what it takes to fix. I get really bothered. Seems like there's a lot of guys that are real quick to go, oh, this is junk and that's terrible and this is that. And a lot of those guys can't ride what they have near its potential. And again, it's easy to listen to the magazine editors. They get to ride motorcycles all day for a living. A lot of those guys are very expert riders, and they have had access to some of the very best of the best equipment. And so yeah, it's pretty easy when you line them up to nitpick. But anybody that's riding something 5-6 years old, or hasn't dialed their suspension, or isn't an 8 or 9/10 rider, I mean, the average dude riding around, and even if you've got 20-30 years of experience, the average guy riding around, you're gonna like this bike just fine, and you can be in it brand new, you know, and do some mods and kind of have it the way you like it and still be under $10,000. And to me, that's pretty cool. You know, it's nice having brand new tires and brand new brakes and no scratches, and you know, I've owned a lot of used bikes and I've owned a few new ones, and having a brand new bike is pretty fun, and this thing's affordable for most people. I bought it with pretty much nothing down, and my payments are you know, just a couple $100 a month. So it is something that if you like the idea of a new bike, pretty affordable. Now I understand the 2015s, they have smoothed the throttle out, that initial bite, so that might be something that you know, is appealing if you want to go try driving the new one. I have not. Again, I'm pretty happy with this one the way it is, and so hope you enjoyed this little ride, and I'll talk to you soon.